Okay. Recording now.
If everybody could go to the Google Doc, please. Today, we are going to be talking about pre-writing. And pre-writing is what you do before you write your personal narrative. We are going to make a plan for what your whole story is going to be about. So I will start, and my story is going to be about my first dog. So pre-writing is kind of like a hamburger. First, you have your top bun, you have all the good stuff in the middle, and you have your bottom bun. So for my story, I'm going to think of the 3 most important events that happened. So the first one is my mom telling me that we were going to go to the pet store and buy a dog. And then the next thing we did was we drove to the store and I got to pick out my dog. And the last thing we did was on our way home, we stopped at the pet store and we got to pick up food and toys. So now I'm going to write my 3 events in my hamburger bun, or my hamburger. So the first thing I did, does anybody remember what the first thing I said was?
Your mom told you were going to get a dog?
Yes. Can everybody see the screen all right?
Yeah.
Google Doc?
Yeah.
Now for the meat and cheese and lettuce. Does anybody remember the second thing I said?
You went to the store?
Yes. And the very last thing I did was on our way home, I got to pick out toys and food for my new dog. Now, something important about a story, which is much like a hamburger, is a perfect hamburger isn't complete without all 3 ingredients. So that is my hamburger pre-writing. Now we are going to complete this as a class and come up with a story of our own that we've all experienced. This time, instead of a hamburger, we are going to color coordinate them to keep them organized. Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So something that we have all experienced is the first day of school, right? No matter what grade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Samantha, can you tell me something that you remember doing on the first day of school at the very beginning of the day?
Do you want me to type it or tell you?
You can do both.
Okay. On the first day of school, I remember finding my desk with my name tag on it.
Perfect. Now we're all going to write that on our papers, what Samantha just said. Whoa. Okay, perfect. Taylor, do you remember something you did in the middle of your day on your first day of school?
Going to recess after lunch.
Oh, yeah. So can you type that in. I'm going to put an exclamation mark. Now, Holly, can you tell me something at the very end of your first day of school that you remember?
Getting on the bus and going to my babysitter.
Ooh. Okay, let's go through this again. What did we do at the beginning of our story?
We found our desk with the name tag on it.
Awesome. What did we do in the middle of our story?
Go to recess after lunch.
And at the very end?
Got on the bus to go to babysitter.
Yes. Okay, now that I think you guys have a pretty good grip on it, I want you to all try this out on your own. You can pick any personal narrative story that you want. It can be about anything, school appropriate, please. I want you all to pick whatever outline you think works best. If you want to do your hamburger, if you want to do the color coordinated, or if you want to do just plain and simple black and white if you think you got it down. So if you all could do that, please. Something else that I find myself turning to if I'm having trouble thinking of what to write about is fun family vacations, birthday parties, getting an animal like I mentioned, hanging out with friends if you can't think of ideas. Something else I find fun to do, but is kind of hard to do on the format we have, but if we were writing on just paper, is drawing pictures or quick sketches to go along with each step of the way to help you write your story when you get to the first draft. Awesome. It looks like you're all done. Samantha, I see that you chose the hot dog bun. Can you please go back and color coordinate each step into the red, blue, and green? That goes from beginning, middle, and end. Taylor, next to your colors, could you write what portion of the bun was each step. And Holly, can you either pick to do color coordinate yours or to label your hot dog bun? I mean, not hot dog, hamburger. Nice job, Samantha. Samantha, are you a Sam or a Samantha?
I go by either.
Okay. Taylor, that looks great. Okay, now that we have our pre-writing done, this will be able to help us when we go to write our personal narratives in our first draft. So as we're writing, you guys will be able to look back at the examples we made, and you will have a great outline to start your stories. Do you have any questions? Cool. Okay, that's all. That was really fast.
Okay. Good job.
Should we talk about the thing? I don't remember what we decided. The reading?
Yeah.
So you go over a little bit at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about it.
What I got out of it, it was like briefly talking about how the UDL was more about like engaging the students, like they cared more about like the students and how like what they were good at and then what their interests were and incorporating them into the lessons rather than just like looking in a textbook.
Yeah.
Honestly, like something that I really like about teaching and like one of the reasons I'm going into it is that like nothing, I feel like if something starts to go wrong, like you can always revert to something else. And I think that's like really cool that like nothing is so black and white. Like you can always, if you see that something isn't going well, and like it's going to take time. Like the teacher was saying, she was super frustrated when her lesson didn't work at first, but then she like learned that it's not about if the lesson works, it's not about if the lesson goes as planned, it's about like if the students are comprehending what you're trying to teach them.
Yeah, I like how you can like constantly modify what you're teaching, and you should be constantly modifying what you're teaching because you may have like a perfect idea in your head how you want the lesson to go, but it all depends on how like your students react. Like I have to do field work for my 340 class, and I was in the class last week, and the teacher kind of gave me like a brief outline of what she was going to do, but the kids were just like not responding well to it. So like in the middle of the instruction, she like changed it, and it was such a smooth transition that the kids didn't notice. And like if I wouldn't have known like the lesson plan beforehand, I wouldn't have noticed at all. So I think that's really cool that you're able to do that.
Yeah. In my like field experience, whatever, she always like does the same things every day. So I think like they get into that habit to where like they know what's gonna go on, so they're more like focused on like going to the next groups because it's like they're like like writing sentences or like writing different words out or whatever. And so like they like get what they have to get done and then move on. But sometimes a lot of the kids don't like care. They just want to like just move to groups and then be done.
Yeah. That too.
Something else that like is cool is that you can also learn from like your teachers, like your co-teachers and stuff. Like
Mhm.
I think that's a huge part of it too, and like learning different like UDL principles, or like, hey, this so and so is not doing well in my class, or how are they doing in your class? What's working for you with that student? I think is huge too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have currently any field experience teachers to, I guess, observe. But I did like how in the lesson, how it just showed the how much more accessible, I guess, it makes it for the kids when she went from like having one activity, like doing two activities at the same time, and one was kind of hard, and she just kind of did a mini group lesson and then moved on. And when she came back around to it the second time, she really like focused on like having all the different ways to really help them learn, such as like peer interaction and the different activities and games that kind of just help kids learn more in depthly versus just a kind of brief lesson and like just a frustrating activity.
Teachers can get having a mindset to teach and just like no matter what, but I think it like is a test of like good teacher, how well they can, like you were saying, mix it up without even having a wrinkle in the class time and the kids not even noticing.
Mhm. All right. Stop recording. Add anything else?
I think that was most of the reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.